Monday comes around, it's time for the audition. And I'm looking at a room of guys who are auditioning to be me. And I am also auditioning to be me.
Yeah, right.
And by the way, it's funny. There's a description of what his friends are like. And it's describing them. And I'm like, this is insane. So anyway, so I go in.
Was it you?
Like, so it's not like 6'1" Italian male with big hips.
Yeah.
Welcome back to Oops the Podcast.
All right, lots to unpack here.
I got something for you.
Please. Julio, I don't know where you came up with that idea.
Dude, this guy was a huge turkey.
What is this, Japan? Which is
Yeah.
one of the reasons why I hadn't told you about it.
No, and I also just assumed you were saving it for the pod if you were going to tell me,
Yeah.
which of course you were.
Oh,
But-
yeah. Welcome to Oops the Podcast. I'm Francis and that's Julio.
Julio Gallerati,
We've got Ryan, we've got Chris.
Ryan, and Chris. Chris right now has more flights than anybody.
Is that true?
Well, I have 5, but I'm doing 2 more this weekend.
Chris, I think Chris would be in the lead.
Well, after this weekend he would be. I've got 6 right now.
Oh my God, I'm really slacking, but I
Well,
think
aren't you flying to DC too?
No, I'm driving.
Mm.
Also, I got some fucking shit cooking for international trips. I might be going to China with my old man.
What the fuck,
I
dude?
know.
How'd you do that?
Dude, my dad's part of some global whatever conference leadership program thing. I don't even fucking know. But anyway, yeah, dude. My dad sent me a link. I'm scrolling now. It's just a bunch of Chinese, and then I see a picture of him. He gave some talk yesterday.
Cool.
So anyway, he's going. I'm gonna go. That'll tack a couple on.
Wow.
We have a lot of big travel coming up.
Man, that's a flight, dude.
I know. I'm sure.
Have you been? You haven't been that far,
Never.
right?
The farthest I've ever done in one sitting is 14.
Well, that's what that is.
Because you break it up in the middle, right?
Oh, you do?
No, actually, no.
I flew direct.
Wow. To where?
Shanghai
Wow.
from New York.
That's crazy.
It was like 12 and a half, I think.
Really?
Seem to remember that it was about 12 and a half, 13.
It has to be longer than that.
I think
From New York?
you'd be surprised. It's probably because I would think that China, Shanghai is on a similar, I never get this right, latitude, longitude.
I see what you're saying.
And whereas that's why Australia is so far, is because it's across
You
the
go down
hemisphere.
also.
It's
Interesting.
all the way across the globe.
Because I recall, I think the flight west takes longer, right? Because I think from Doha to New
You're
York.
gonna fly west?
No, but like when I fly back, but like
Yeah.
from Doha to New York, I think it's the
Yes.
longest direct I've ever been on.
Yeah, the flight. That's interesting. Because I know that's correct. Yes, the flight from
Going was
Europe
12.
home is longer than the flight from here to Europe. Should we bring this up? We're in the midst of
Yeah, we should.
We're in the midst of
We can't ignore it.
yeah.
So
Old
for-
Franny Pants.
From my perspective, I'm just sitting there in the lobby. 2 separate people come up and start 2 separate conversations with Francis that are more intense than any conversation I'll have in a single year. Dude, it was absolutely crazy.
Oh my god.
Absolute madness, dude.
Oh my god.
2 very tense, uncomfortable conversations. So yeah, let's get into
You know
it.
that this is what this place used to be like every single day.
Actually,
Every day in the old office.
Wow.
And a lot of people here will try to, I think, mysticize that time. But I don't say that to mysticize it. I say it to be happy that it's no longer that way. Because walking into the work, you used to sort of pump yourself
Here we
up.
go. Like you're going into battle.
Yeah. It was you never knew in what way you'd end up fighting or how you'd have to defend yourself or
Crazy.
where the attack was coming from. If you haven't been following, I know that when the episode comes out, this will probably have blown over, but I was a guest on the Mean Girl podcast, Alex Bennett.
Which we brought up at the beginning of our episodes last week, which is funny.
What did I say?
You were arriving from doing it, and you're like, I just did Mean Girl, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
on
don't
the
know if
pod.
that made the podcast,
Oh, did
but
it?
I
Well,
know we were just talking about it before.
we
started.
might have brought it up because Julio had done it, And yeah, we definitely did, because that's what spurred the whole conversation of you did it before me, and I was like,
Oh,
am
yeah,
I jealous?
with Nick. Yeah.
about
Yeah,
that,
totally. Good call.
et cetera, et cetera.
Good call.
And so I did that, and the next day, Alex, who has been on our pod, and Jordan texted me and said they had decided to not run the episode, which I was surprised by, frankly. And I, for all my bluster and all my faults, I do think that I tend to have a decent understanding of when I have gone over the line, or I've said something really risky, or, typically, let's put it this way, when I get in trouble, I'm not that surprised.
Right. And also,
We've been through it.
and a lot of the time too, if you think that you're not a person who isn't aware that he might be carrying on, if he happens to be. And I would argue that most of the time you're not when you think you are. So like you have the reflex. You'll be like, is this boring? And I'll be like, no, dude.
Right.
And I'll mean it. You know what I mean? So I don't know. So I don't know specifically what happened there. But.
Yeah, so I mean, I just went on their podcast, and frankly, I wasn't that familiar with the structure of their podcast. What I knew of their podcast was what I've seen from their clips, which it's very dating centric, advice oriented, especially towards single people or people in new relationships. And I think what I've learned is that they're so good at social media and creating clips that go viral and are relatable, that they're really gunning for that.
Uh-huh.
Whereas I would say that you and I have a conversation,
right,
and then we sift through that for clips.
Right. I would say that's accurate.
I don't know that their podcast is a conduit. It is the goal to me is the clips for their pod. That's how it felt.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I've learned. They've kind of admitted as such.
Okay.
Because I was kind of trying to just have a conversation, and I was answering as they've now told me in a way that was too long-winded. Surprise, surprise. I was not as concise as they wanted me to be for a 60-second TikTok. I can't even imagine the challenge of editing any response that I gave on that podcast down to a 60-minute advice piece. I mean, that's just not the way I operate. I'm a storyteller, you know? And by the way, it makes me appreciate you and your patience with me.
I mean, dude, I have no gripe with your style, you know?
Well, I think
we're hundreds of episodes in, and
it'd be crazy if you're like, this is.
I can't take it anymore.
Now would be the
I just
time.
walk out.
That Mean Girl
Who's coming
episode
with me?
it really did make me realize, Fran, you got to shut the fuck up sometimes.
Well, I haven't heard it. Not that, and I don't want it to seem like it matters whether or not I hear it. You know, in the sense of like, I'm just so curious to hear the nuance of what everybody's talking about.
I think I can say that I'm so prone to self-loathing that were I to be fearful that my performance were lacking or underwhelming or anything bad, that I would have sided with them. I wouldn't have put any kind of a fight up.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm very confident. I'm very confident that you would listen to it and probably laugh.
Okay.
I think you might enjoy it.
Okay.
It's spicy and combative, and there's a staccato rhythm.
Well, what do you mean spicy and combative?
And I'm pushing back.
Well,
I'm saying like that's a ridiculous.
Is it a
people
debate?
that have what?
Is it like a debate? What do you mean?
Yeah,
Like,
let's call it that.
okay. So
Debatey.
but like, so were they like, hey, Fran? So you and your wife, do you guys sleep on the same side of the bed every night? Like, what kind of questions were they?
It's pretty kind of generic dating questions about sharing a bank account with your spouse or finances, or I think things like that.
Right.
And
So at what point does that become combative, though? I'm just wondering.
I think I said I probably said something like, honestly, I can't remember now, but I think I probably said things like people that have this expectation or think that it's this simple are setting themselves up for failure in relationships, rather than being like, you should split it 20% for shared costs and 80%. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah.
I tried to sort of boil it all and take a more macro approach to it. I think which was probably
To love in the modern world, dude.
Yeah, exactly. Like not one size fits all. These answers shouldn't be taken as gospel. And what do I know? This is what I know from my own personal experience and what works for us.
Got it. So
But-
is it possible then that their gripe would be that you like because this is different than what we had talked about or what you guys were just talking about in the hallway. This sounds to me as if it was like somehow by answering that way, it sounds as if you're undermining their questions or something, which I would understand that thought process. I'm not saying you did that, but if that's what they thought, I could understand one not wanting to air the episode if they felt like they sounded stupid or something.
Yes, I agree with
something.
what you say there.
Yeah.
However, the reason for why they have not aired the episode has now changed 4 or 5 times.
Right.
And at first, they said that their audience would be confused by it.
Mm.
That's what they said. Then they said that
Just
I was
picture Francis drawing formulas on a chalkboard.
Yeah.
Our audience will get this. Like, see if pi equals.
Then they said that Jordan said that I was patronizing, which I took umbrage with because I really didn't feel that I was. And then Alana, their producer, just came up and you witnessed this, and she said that I was boring.
Yeah.
And I can tell you one thing, pal. Nobody has ever accused me of being boring on a podcast. I may be long-winded and I may be not understanding the questions correctly, but by God, I'm out there swinging for the goddamn fences.
I think she realized during the conversation from what I heard that was an incorrect assessment.
Well, then don't levy that against me, because
Well-
that's a big charge.
Yeah. So yeah. I see how it turned into that, but to me, like, I hope that you in the back of your head aren't like, am I boring at any point? 'Cause
No,
you're not.
that's
Obviously.
why I had that very bombastic reaction that I did.
Because she said it was like kind of boring, and you're like, you're saying I'm boring, and she was like, yes.
Yeah.
And then she's like, "Nah, obviously I'm not saying, you know what I mean?
But then
Like,
I talked
she
her out
realized-
of it,
no, but
which
she-
is horseshit too.
but she realized that was harsh and didn't like accurately sum up what she was attempting to say. Like, I think she was caught off guard by the conversation. Like, I'm not defending anybody. I'm just saying, like, I don't think that she meant for it to be harsh or sound harsh, and she didn't mean it that way. Is what I thought.
Yeah, no, and I listen.
That's what I thought.
Alana's awesome.
Yeah.
Fundamentally,
She really
one of the
is.
more, like in my mind, capable and someone who has vision.
She's nice to be around. Too. I like
She
her.
gets it. She moves the fucking ball forward. I've worked with her on some other stuff, and I'm very impressed with her.
Mhm.
So I don't put this on her. I just don't. I still, if I'm honest, I still don't quite understand
Yeah.
why they're not running the episode.
This has happened to me before, dude, where I got taken out of something. They took me off of a thing. I was about to be in some great thing, and they called me. They're like, hey, you're not going to be in it anymore. And I was like, why? And they're like, we just don't think you're ready. And I'm like, what do you mean I'm not ready? Of course I'm ready. They then realized that was insane. And they're like, well, and they said 3 or 4 different things. And I know how unsettling that could be.
Mm-hmm.
Not just like, why are you not telling me?
Yeah.
Or why did you do this to begin with? You know what I mean? Like, we didn't need to do this. I don't know.
It makes you start guessing, and then it's almost as though you start offering them reasons that they could use for why you weren't right. And it's a little bit like when you try to break up with somebody and you want to be nice to them. And so you give them answers that aren't going to crush their ego or their soul,
Right.
instead of saying something like, I'm just not attracted to you. Or
You smell weird.
yeah, or well, yeah, exactly. Like I
Right.
found out that you have a bag of hair in your refrigerator. Whatever. I watched that fucking Jeffrey Dahmer shit, man.
Dude, fucked up, right?
Yeah, it didn't haunt me the way that I was expecting it
Oh,
to.
that's good.
It didn't. I
That's
watched.
going to go into some compilation of reasons Francis is a serial killer.
No, I found him disgusting.
Yeah.
I found him truly disgusting. from a like cleanliness and hoarding aspect. I was like, why are you keeping these things?
Yeah, it's gross.
That
Messy.
bothered me. Also, just I
Prefer
mean,
more of a Dexter approach.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. That's exactly right.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
like a surgical, cleanly serial killer. I don't want someone fucking keeping shit around.
Oh, you got to see this guy's finger.
Dude,
Come here,
there was a moment where he was like, where he was like showering with two bodies in the bathtub, and I was just like, where do you stand? That's so inconvenient. What are you fucking? You're slipping all over. You're kicking arms and stuff. How do you clean yourself? That irked me. Julio's into this shit. He I asked him. I was like, I need a good true crime doc.
So I'm not really into true crime. I'm like into like, generally speaking, good documentaries.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but like I know you had said that, but like, and I know it's parallel, but I don't want it to seem like
No, sure.
I'm a true crime junkie. That's like a certain kind of like thing.
The conversation led to, I said, have you seen the Jeffrey Dahmer? I was trying to see if I should watch the show or the documentary, which is the Dahmer tapes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are there more?
There's an interview that they did in prison like months before he got murdered in prison where they interviewed
He got
him.
murdered in prison?
Yeah.
Maybe I haven't finished this.
No,
You
so
didn't finish it then.
It's okay. I don't care.
So he gets murdered in prison. It's a tough road for like a creepy serial killer type in prison, I gather.
Good.
And I don't No, but listen, I don't
Next to pedophile.
I don't know if he's the specific example of where that came from, because I remember my dad always used to say that when I was a kid, that like in prison there's a code,
Mhm.
and like
I like that.
if you've done certain things, it makes your life more difficult. So I don't know if Dahmer is the prime example of it, or if that is generally speaking a thing. But dude, this interview they do of him, he seems like one of the most like detached, emotionless, terrifying people ever, and it's almost like he doesn't give a shit, dude.
Yeah.
And he would creep people in prison out too. He'd like do this to them and shit. Dude, if you guys are just listening and not watching, I diddled my fingers as a wave, which is quite creepy. You're not gonna last long doing that shit, dude.
No. The very famous quote for me that comes to mind is one of my favorite lines from True Detective, where he's interviewing the woman who, I can't remember exactly what she did to her kids, but her neglect caused them to die or something like that.
What season is this?
Season 1. This is McConaughey telling the woman in the questioning, and then the interview ends or something. He says something like, prison can be really unkind to people who are
Right.
bad to kids. If you get the opportunity, you should kill yourself. And then he walks out. And I remember thinking, like, that's one of the great,
That's amazing.
that is such incredible writing. That fucking show,
so good.
season 1 of True Detective, when I think about it, I think it's a masterpiece.
Agreed. It's a must watch if you haven't seen it.
It is a masterpiece.
It's incredible.
Woody Harrelson, McConaughey. Oh my God, the casting's incredible. Go back and watch. There's a scene where they're in Compton, and I think it's a flashback, and he's doing a raid on a house.
Okay.
And it's a single shot for like 10 minutes of a battle scene
Sick.
where they don't cut.
How do I not remember this?
And because you probably watched it,
Birdman.
and it probably didn't occur to you at the time that it was a single shot, and it was only after the fact that I read,
Okay.
and then I went back and watched it, and I was just in awe.
Mhm.
Because if anything goes wrong,
Right,
9
it's-
minutes
yeah.
in it, they're crashing cars,
Yeah.
they're punching people, I think explosions are happening. If anything goes wrong, they have to reset everything.
Yeah.
And rebuild the world and start all over again.
Yeah. You know, there's a couple movies that do that too, all the way through. If you enjoy that style.
I think 1917
That was a good one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they did it.
that was a really long
That was fucking
continuous shot.
awesome.
That was a great movie.
Yeah.
I'm pulling
Rope
up
is
a
another
list.
one.
Bird-
Alfred Hitchcock
Birdman.
and Birdman.
Birdman has
Yeah.
it. Birdman's not the whole way through.
I think there's like 3 or 4.
It
cuts.
is. There's a couple like tricks. All the like full movie
Yeah,
ones have
there's,
tricks in
like
them.
there's like fake cuts.
Which
not
means
fake
that
cuts.
like I wonder if they did it for the break, whatever, the Compton scene or not.
So the movie Extraction. These are the top 5.
Oh,
longest
extraction scene. What, it's the
Extraction.
car chase.
I've
I
never
haven't
seen
it.
Extraction.
It's 12 minutes long.
I just watched Extraction
good?
again. Extraction's amazing.
Oh my God, writing it down.
Oh my God, what a treat.
Dude,
I'm so
yes.
excited for you.
I look for this sort of movie all the time because they don't come out enough.
Dude, you got to watch it on a big TV with good sound.
Excellent.
It is, in my opinion, the action movie
Wow.
of the last couple years.
Wow.
Wow.
Sick.
I can't name another.
I'm excited to
Also,
watch it.
didn't they do what was that chef show that just came out? They did like a whole
The Menu?
episode.
Did you like
No.
that?
The
I was gonna
Menu?
ask you about that.
Fucking loved it.
I loved
Right?
it.
Yeah,
I,
I just
loved
watched
loved
the
it.
Menu. I
It's
loved
fantastic.
it.
It was
I get-
hilarious.
I loved it.
I
It's
get
so
why
good.
you like watched 10 minutes and you were like, oh, like I don't
No,
get it.
we just my wife fell asleep, so
Oh, okay.
that was all.
Okay.
And
It's
then
so funny.
and then we
It's so
finished it,
good,
and we
yeah.
were just thrilled,
Yeah.
thrilled.
Yeah.
by
Perfect
it.
movie.
Hill and I loved it too.
So good.
So
Had
good.
no idea where it was going.
Same.
no idea.
And I just thought it was beautiful and
Yeah.
brilliant, and I thought the acting was great. I liked it a lot.
Dude,
Yeah.
so many. Ray Fiennes has so many good zingers too.
Yeah.
Like when he makes the guy cook and he's like, "Oh, a new technique of cooking lamb, of which we've been woefully ignorant."
Yeah. But not for nothing, that guy did better than I thought he would do.
Yeah,
He
seriously.
cooked something.
He cooked something.
I was like, he's asking for shallots and fucking celery, and he's cooking a lamb. What? I mean, my God, I would have cooked, I don't know, a salad.
I was shocked during the sous chef scene where he comes up and he starts explaining
Oh yeah.
his role.
That
and
was,
then
like, the
he's
first-
like,
Yeah, that
I'm
was
not good
when
enough.
I was like, oh, I don't know what's about to happen.
I
Don't-
knew something
yeah.
weird
That
was
was
gonna
it.
happen.
Yeah.
And then the unevenly shaped dishes that they ironically kept bringing out later on after the critic made comments
yeah.
on it.
But the
Oh,
broken,
yeah, the broken,
The broken egg yolk.
yeah.
But
Yeah, that was funny.
what was that other chef show that just came out? It was like a series on Hulu.
The Bear?
Yeah, they
Oh,
yeah.
do a whole episode in like one shot. I'm pretty sure.
Oh.
Interesting.
To intensify.
It's probably the one where things are really falling
Yeah.
apart.
Yeah.
18-minute single take
Yeah.
In the
Oh,
bear.
cool.
in the Bear, that episode.
Jesus, that's a
Sick.
play.
Yeah.
That's a play.
It brings
cool.
up the stakes in their
It sure does.
lives too.
If you're looking
and
for a good
life
play,
filming it.
sorry, Chris. What were you saying?
That's it.
I completely just talked over the second
okay.
half of what you were saying.
It's
I didn't
okay.
expect you to say something so
okay.
comprehensive. I'd like for you to
Damn,
repeat it
this
if you
is
don't
awkward,
mind.
Ryan.
I'd like for you to repeat it if you don't mind, Chris.
Damn.
It just like brings the stakes up when they're actually filming that intense scene and they can't mess up, and it
Yeah.
only
Totally.
makes it more real.
You got to get your blocking right.
Exactly,
You can't miss
yeah.
a line. You got to know
Yeah.
your lines dead to
You gotta
rights.
avoid the cameras and like not hit people.
Yeah. I wonder how many takes it takes.
Hmm.
Hopefully not many, huh?
Yeah.
What was on the
tell
rest
you.
of that list, right?
Yeah, real quick. So number 4 was Birdman,
Mm.
15 minutes for one scene.
Wow.
That was a good movie.
Wait, I got another
liked it.
guess. I got The
Oh, sure.
Haunting of Hill House has a very long
I
unbroken
love that
scene.
show.
So this is movies.
you like that
Incredible.
show?
Loved it.
That was a-
Incredible.
Season 1. I didn't watch season 2.
Season 2 is okay. Season 1's amazing.
Amazing.
Same guy made a new show
Do you know?
about vampires.
Did he?
It's on Netflix. I haven't watched it yet.
Do you know that? Do you know
we
the
both
scene?
did this at the same time.
Do you know the scene that's the unbroken shot? It makes it fucking.
Is it in the last episode with
terrifying.
the door?
No,
Which one is it?
they're in the morgue.
Oh.
They're in the morgue and they're all standing around talking, and it's so long that you do notice it.
17 minutes.
You notice that they haven't broken or changed
Interesting.
camera angles,
Do you know what episode, Ryan?
Um,
Sorry.
and it makes it you're waiting for something horrible to happen,
And then it does.
and it's so scary.
What happens again? Fuck. Dude, I watched that show top to bottom 3 times.
Wow.
I loved that show.
Yeah. They're arguing as a family. It's all the kids standing around.
Around who died, right? I don't want
I
to
think
spoil
they're
it.
arguing. I can't remember exactly what they're arguing about, but behind them is a long kind of almost hallway type room, at the end of which is a body, and they're arguing, and all the action is at the forefront. And at some point, the body sits up.
Okay.
I
Got
think
it.
that's what it is.
Yeah. Okay.
And yeah,
Okay.
it's like happening way off in the distance,
Yeah.
and you're watching it like I fucking knew it.
Yeah,
Oh my god.
Episode 6.
Yeah.
got it. The thing that I think is so brilliant about the show, I've been trying to pinpoint what's so good about it, and I think the first 4 episodes are like pretty slow. You get to really know each character and their
Mhm.
backstory. So then everything that happens is not only terrifying, but like unbelievably tragic.
Oh yeah.
It's like the
Yeah.
saddest show I've ever
Yeah.
seen,
Mhm.
along with being the scariest.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
is fucking
Yeah.
really good shit, dude.
Yeah, really good. I would revisit that.
Yeah.
Can you guys guess the top 3
What?
movies with the longest takes?
I would have thought 1917 is in there.
Rope is not in there?
No. So number 3 is Gravity. There's
Oh,
a I think that's the opening shot.
Yeah, it
17
is.
minutes.
Oh wow.
That's sort of cheating a little bit.
That is the opening shot.
It's
It's
just
like
like
CGI.
fucking space, dude.
Oh.
And CGI and shit.
Boiling Point, 92 minutes. It looks like the whole movie was one take.
With Giovanni Ribisi and Vin Diesel? Is that not?
Is this him?
No, that's a
No.
completely different thing. What movie am I
Looks
thinking
like,
of?
that looks like.
Boiler Room?
Oh yeah.
And then number 1 was Russian Ark, 96 minutes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Ryan asked if we could guess these. I've never even heard of
I've
these.
never heard
Come
of
fucking
on,
these.
Russian Ark. And then TV.
Oh, baby. Francis,
Oh baby.
I've been cooking up a storm.
Yeah, I can smell it.
And HelloFresh, I've said it once, I'll say it again. What an amazing tool to make a person who doesn't know how to cook a cook.
That's exactly right.
I can't help but think about the menu where he's like, cook, now cook.
Yeah.
Cook.
Yeah.
And he keeps saying cook. If that guy just had HelloFresh, he would have cooked an amazing meal,
Right.
whether or not he knew how to. If they had accurately pre-portioned all of the ingredients for him, and had directions,
Right.
he could have easily done it.
Yeah.
Shallots.
Yeah.
They weren't pre-cut.
Correct.
Lamb.
Any meal that Julio cooks from HelloFresh, we're not going to eat it. We're going to taste it.
That's right. Don't eat.
Savor.
Taste.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
And you will get bread.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Good. Exactly.
Dude, I'm telling you, the amount of stuff that I've been able to cook is truly mind-blowing. And I'm preparing this nice meal. And there's something about it. Hillary's sitting there. She's all happy. We have this romantic dinner.
Ooh,
I light a
nice.
candle in front of her face. She goes, "It's very nice, honey.
Oh.
This is no joke. It is the real deal." And, it's a very competitive option in comparison to shopping for groceries, which are expensive. This is the perfect time to get started with HelloFresh. HelloFresh is cheaper than grocery shopping,
Way cheaper.
25% less expensive than takeout,
Big time.
and it's simply the real deal. HelloFresh, absolutely no joke. I swear I'm using it all the time. It's
so
phenomenal.
good. It's automatic. Just makes life a lot easier and makes you know that you've cooked a meal for yourself. And there's a great sense of satisfaction and you're learning.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You take the knowledge with you, like we talked about. You take the knowledge with you, my
Yeah,
friend.
you do.
Go to HelloFresh.com/oops60.
60.
60. Oops60. Use code oops60 for 60% off.
What the heck? What are
Plus
these
free
deals?
shipping. What in the world?
What are these deals?
What on earth?
Oh my god, it can't even be legal.
Sure can't. Sure can.
Can and is.
That's oops60 at HelloFresh.com/oops60Francis. Minus the Francis. That's code oops60 at HelloFresh.com/oops60. Well, how about this? Why don't we talk about the shortest scenes of all time, including Gallerati's appearance?
Hey!
This is the only reason why I'm even bringing this up is because we have talked in the past about how I had a very fortuitous scooch in a Taylor Swift commercial way back when
Yeah.
that changed my life. It changed
Scooch heard
my
around the world. Yeah.
changed my tax bracket.
Mhm.
And it's incredible. So again, what people don't realize about commercials is if you're cast as like a principal in a commercial, you are paid as if you shot a 96-minute scene.
Yeah.
Depending whether you shot a 96-minute commercial or a half a second commercial, you get paid the same amount.
No matter how many lines you have, right?
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
you don't have to say shit.
You don't have to say anything.
The side of your head might be in it, and you're good.
Mhm.
So it's it's a funny story. Apple Watch. It's a good story. So basically, I'm in Florida performing. I get an email from my agent being like, "Hey, I have a commercial audition for you." I'm like, "Okay, cool. Let's check it out." And the description of the role is Pete Davidson's friends, guys who would be friends with Pete Davidson.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Have you
oh,
not told this on the pod?
No,
Have you not?
bro, I saved it because I didn't want to jinx it.
Oh wow, good for you.
Haven't told it because I didn't want to jinx it. So it is now out. So now I can tell it. So I'm looking at this and I'm like, I email him. I'm like, did I get this specifically because actually describes me? And they basically like don't respond. And what I've gathered now that all has happened is that they did not. That is not why I got it. I just happened to get it,
That's incredible.
which is amazing for not only me but for some of the other people who ended up getting in the commercial. Because I'm not so sure that Pete was specifically aware of what was going to be happening in some of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So if he didn't know they were casting his friends. So I text him and he sort of gets the ball rolling to try to like get me to get it. But, you know, there's only so much he can do. So I'm not banking on this, right?
Mhm.
I talked to a couple of people he works with. They're all working on it. But Monday comes around. It's time for the audition. I go in there and I'm looking at a room of guys who are auditioning to be me. And I am also auditioning to be me.
Yeah, right.
So I'm
right.
just kind of like, and I'm like, Julio, do not do the like thing that the guys in the menu did. Okay, I didn't want to have to do this, but you know who we are, right?
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
like, I
sure.
am not doing that. I'm not going to be that guy. I'm not going to start talking about how I actually know him. I'm not going to say shit
To the other actors?
to anybody,
Uh-huh.
to the actors, to the casting people. I'm not going to say shit, and hopefully it'll get figured out on the back end if they don't like me initially for the commercial.
Mhm.
So anyway, and by the way, it's funny. There's a description of what his friends are like, and it's describing them, and I'm like, this is insane. So anyway, so I go in.
Was it you?
Like so, it's not like 6'1" Italian male with big hips.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, just sort of whatever, loosely describing somebody that maybe I am. So anyway, go in the room for the audition. And they say, all right, just tell us your name and a fun fact about yourself. And I'm like, there it is, baby.
Mm.
There it is. So I'm like, hey, I'm Julio Gallerati. Fun fact, I'm actually friends with Pete. So I guess I'm auditioning to play myself. So I hope I get it. And that was it.
Nice.
Now,
I was able to throw it in there.
were they? How do they not know? How do they know that you're not lying?
I mean, they can easily track.
But do you think they believed you?
So I know that the casting director, when I did an audition during COVID, the guy who was in the room had mentioned that he had seen my stand-up, my Pete Davidson Presents.
Yes.
So I knew that he knew,
Cool.
which made me
That
feel a
helps.
little less anxious. It's like it was an anxiety-provoking experience
I bet.
to be in this room with these. And actors are all so positive that it was funny. When I said that, the other guy goes, wow, really? Cool, man. I was like, all right, whatever. So then doesn't get brought up again, whatever, walk out of there, and then get a call back. And at this point, I'm like, I have a call back? Like, is this not like, and then I just end up not having to go to the call back again. So
Oh, that's cool.
shout out to Pete, taking care of the squad.
Nice.
But I don't know. So there's a couple other of his buddies in it too. I'm not sure if they would have ended up being in it if he wasn't alerted by me.
Oh.
I sort of blew the whistle on the operation, which ended up working out well for everybody. And who knows? He as it got closer to the time, he might have taken a peek at the specifics and be like, "Oh no, we're gonna have my real friends," type of thing.
Cool.
So pretty cool.
That's exciting, man. Are we allowed to say what it's for?
Yeah, it's for Smart Water. It's
Smart water.
It's out there. You guys will probably
It's a big time commercial.
hopefully have seen it at this point.
Is it running on TV?
I don't like they say it is. I haven't seen it yet, so until I see it on TV or
I'm
hear
excited
the
to
people
see
see it
that
on
on TV.
Mm.
That'll be fun, huh?
So I don't know. Hopefully it'll be a nice supplemental.
Congrats, man.
Thank you,
What a
Tom.
thrill.
Appreciate it.
You haven't been running in the commercial game as much as you used to.
Yeah, no, I wonder why. In COVID, it like was really a godsend. I think maybe just the Zoom audition is my home run format.
But you didn't do a Zoom audition for this one, did you?
No, I went in person for this,
Yeah.
and in the past I'd gone in person many times. But based on the amount of auditions I had during COVID, and I booked 2 big ones,
Mm-hmm.
and it was off Zoom auditions, and I was batting like 40% or something, whereas
That's
normally.
incredible.
It's because you were podcasting 3 times a week,
Yeah,
baby.
yeah, literally. And I would say that the likely
Definitely helps.
percentage for a commercial actor, yeah, it's right, maybe. is probably closer. My career percentage for commercials is closer to between 5 and 10%.
Yeah.
Max.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so whatever.
Yeah.
But
Nice, man.
Nice to be out there.
Good for you, dude.
Yeah.
Can
That's
I add
sweet.
one scene before we get off this
Yeah,
topic?
please.
The scene in Goodfellas when they're like entering they like get out of the car and they go into the play or whatever, that music scene. And
Oh,
they, like,
yeah.
They walk through
The
the
trail
kitchen
shot.
and then they just like take this table out and she's like, "What?"
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
was
that's
sick.
one of the famous sort
Iconic.
of
Yeah.
scenes.
That scene has been replicated.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is a classic
That's so great.
for sure.
Awesome.
Dude, the founder of Hang Obi was in the office the other day. What a fun
Conrad.
treat that was.
Yeah, let me tell you something about this gentleman, okay?
He's looking ripped.
Yeah, you
dude.
look at him and you say, boy, oh boy, that is the body of somebody who knows what's good for the human spirit.
That's a body of a guy who drinks a lot of Hang Obi.
He's healthy. He knows what's up. I trust. It's like seeing your personal trainer be absolutely ripped out of their mind. You
Very-
say they're
very much
walking the
so.
walk, they're talking the talk. Conrad from Hang Obi, who makes a beverage that is meant to be good for us, is walking the walk.
He's also good. He's a good time, bro. He's a
Yeah.
good hang.
Good hang.
Love to see a good founder for a product you're involved in.
Handsome as all hell.
Looking good.
Yeah.
He's looking good.
I like him. I like him a lot.
I do too.
So,
We're gonna
guys,
get him in for an episode one of these
yeah,
days
we,
to
we
hang
love
out.
the Hang Obi that he has his brainchild. It's so tasty. 3 different types of flavors. You got the essential, the wake, and the calm, all with slightly different purposes, but they're all gonna make you feel better.
Yeah.
That's straight.
And distinct flavors as well. It is now in over 200 stores.
Oh my God, how many stores?
Anybody who's an OG listener has listened to the growth of Hang Obi, and I'm sure you're as impressed as we are.
Mm-hmm.
If you see one in the store, grab it. Tell the shopkeeper you love it. That goes a long way. And go to hangobi.com right now. Use promo code OOPSI'mHung, and you will be receiving 30% off of your order. They're delicious. They're fun. They're versatile. Just like a good pal.
Mm-hmm.
Delicious, fun,
Like
and
our
versatile.
pal Conrad.
Like
Yeah.
our pal Conrad. Hangobi.com. Oops, I'm hung. 30% off.
Well, that's all the updates. Okay, so that's cool. Did we ever finish talking about? I guess
Mean
the
Girl stuff?
Mean Girl thing. We'll see if that comes out. That's been one of those classic Barstool things that I didn't know that people would be interested in, and then you kind of find. I remember Gaz, who's a big deal here, emailed and asked for the footage because he knows immediately when something has caught the attention of the hardcore stoolies. So that's when I said, "Oh boy, this is
Here we go.
this is something. This is something." By the way, I have a big thing that I forgot to tell you.
About that?
No,
Oh,
total different thing.
what?
Do you remember in the last episode when I told the story about dooring the bike
Yeah.
guy in
Yeah.
San
Yeah.
Francisco and the whole fallout from all that?
I'll see you in court.
Yeah. I forgot an incredible detail of that, which was that years later, probably 8 years later, I got summoned for jury duty when I was living in Brooklyn, Kings County. And you go in, right? And they tell you about the case. And I'm in a room with about 40 people. And it's the whole day. So it's not jury. I'm not on the jury. I'm seeing if I'm fit to be selected for a jury on this case. And I'm in a room with 30 or 40 people, and the lawyers are explaining the case. And the case was a woman had been hit from behind by a car, and it had caused her a spinal injury or something like that. And she was suing them for recompense. And they asked at the end if anybody thought that they had a reason why they couldn't render a decision on this case from an unbiased vantage point.
Mhm.
And I raised my hand and I said that when I was a sophomore in college, I was living in San Francisco and I doored a guy and he came after me for money. And from that day forward, I have been very suspicious and resentful towards people who seek punitive damages for accidents.
Oh, wow.
And that I fundamentally believe the world would be a better place if we all just let each other off the hook more often. and that I never trusted people who sued each other for injuries.
Wow.
And they were like, yeah, there's no chance you can serve on this jury. And dude, I got up and walked out, and I legitimately thought the rest of the jurors might applaud for me. So thorough was my like excusing, and then you get like 6 or 7 years of not having to ever be eligible.
Called again, yeah.
And just like that,
Wow.
And you know what? The good part about it was I wasn't even fucking lying. Like, I wasn't really lying to get out of jury duty.
Right.
I hated that guy so much for so long
That's
that
so
I was
funny.
like, it made me
It was an opportunity, dude.
cynical about personal
It's
injury
hilarious.
lawsuits.
That's
Which,
hilarious.
I realize there's a little bit of hypocrisy there, given that I sued my landlord. It was not personal injury, but I did go to a small claims court for that. But yeah, man, I don't know. I think it's easy to say when you've never been the victim of like a bad accident, and I'm sure that if a Walmart truck like Tracy Morgan hit me, I'd go after them. But if
Right.
I still remember when I was doing alternate side parking that this time that I backed into a guy and I got out of the car. I was so apologetic. He got out and he was just shaking his head, not saying anything. He looked at it and I was like, "Do you want my information?" And he goes, "Nah, man, we're cool."
Yeah, dude. There's
And
something
I
nice about that.
Loved that guy.
There's something nice about that.
I loved that guy, and there was a pay it forward aspect to it
Totally.
where I got hit going over the Manhattan Bridge
Oh yeah.
by a
remember.
girl, and I let them off the hook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, so it's funny you say that. I got into a car accident in Afghanistan.
You never told us
I
that.
know. I forgot to talk about this. It wasn't a major one, but it was a car accident. We hit this guy when we were passing him. They got out of the car. They just looked at it, and then they just like put their hands on their hearts and like nodded, and everybody got back in the car. And I'm like, what just happened there?
That's cool.
And they're like, oh, like this guy's son was teaching his son how to drive basically. And, we looked at it and like the front and side were like a little fucked up, but like he said, it's all good. And I was like, oh, he's like, yeah, so there's no car insurance in Afghanistan.
yeah.
You don't call the police if something happens. And it's funny, but like in a way, that's an example of a situation where that system is actually better because if you barely hit somebody, you got to call the police. You got to file a thing. You got to get the guy's number. It takes forever. It makes your premium go up. Like it's becomes so complicated
Right.
that there has to be some kind of middle ground. And to your point, I think there's something nice about a culture where people aren't just constantly suing each other.
Right.
And I think it's a very American thing, to my understanding.
Yes.
Just being able to sue people for anything.
Yes. We are very litigious here.
And may I add, bro, I've been feeling very patriotic lately.
Have you?
Yes. I think I've been telling Hill Dog that if we owned a house, I'd like to have an American flag flying in the front yard.
Wow. I like that for you.
And I think she said that too.
Oh my God.
AKA, I'm not sure if we would be doing it.
Old Glory?
But dude, like,
Is Old Glory the flag?
I don't know. If I really want to be
I don't want to be wrong about that.
Stars and Stripes.
Yeah.
Stars and Stripes.
Okay, sorry, keep going.
No. I mean, I never got to like get into the specifics of this. Not that they matter that much, but I would like to talk about a little. My little road trip. When I do these little road trips around America, dude, it makes one feel extremely patriotic to begin with. To
Sure.
just see all the different stuff and get a taste of other people's perspectives. I find to be really helpful. But also, this one that I happen to be doing in Pennsylvania, it's a lot of like national historic sites, which are like stuff about American history. And I started to realize that I'm getting to an age where I'm starting to get a little bit older because I've begun to become fascinated by George Washington. The greatness of George Washington
Yeah.
has begun to consume me. And I happened to take a route where I was going, and mind you, I was visiting a lot of these sites on George Washington's birthday, which is incredible. Now, dude, I went to Valley Forge, which is like during the Revolutionary War, the Army's sort of retreat for the winter, essentially, like off the bat, right? Encampment. I don't know what it's called.
Is 1776?
I forget specifically the year, but It's where they went during the winter to sort of like regroup, refresh.
Yeah.
77.
77.
Where is Valley Forge?
Pennsylvania? King of Prussia, Pennsylvania.
Schuylkill River? in
Schuylkill.
Pennsylvania?
Skykill. So that's after they doubled back on the Hessians then across the Delaware.
You're ahead of me on that one. I don't know. I'm not ahead of me, but
'Cause that happened on
I
Christmas.
don't know that comprehensively. In
Christmas
1776.
I think it was 1776 that they that's when he
Oh,
made
like
the
that
famous
freezing cold winter.
and made the famous counter move and went back on and counterattacked as they were retreating
Oh, sick.
and went back and captured all the Hessian soldiers, the guns for hire,
Sick.
and they were all drunk because it was Christmas Eve
Oh, wow, that's crazy.
or it was Christmas, and
Brilliant.
yeah, that was like a
Um,
turning point in the war.
Sick. Yeah, I didn't know. Yeah, did not possess that knowledge. But that's sick. Fascinating. So anyway, got to see that. That was cool. Then I went to this like old-fashioned iron mill.
Oh, that's cool.
It's called the Hopewell Furnace. Like the way that they
I've
did
heard
it,
of that.
the way they did it before they progressed into like more modern techniques of making steel and iron or something. That was sick. But dude, then Gettysburg, which by the way, National Park app. There's a National Park app now, and the Gettysburg had an audio driving tour, bro. It was sick,
Wow.
and it took like 2.5 hours.
Wow, that is cool. So you stay in your car?
Stayed in my car the entire time, driving around, and like where Pickett's Charge happened, like all that like famous cool shit.
Yeah.
But dude, then listen to this. I ended up at this place, Fort Necessity, which is like where Washington lost. He like got surrounded by the French and the Native Americans, and it's what started the French and Indian War, dude. Which is like when 1750 something. So like I had this whole, and that was on George Washington's birthday. So I'm experiencing this entire fucking George Washington thing, and it just made me like really geek out over George Washington. But I don't know, whatever.
Man,
It's
I gotta
super
tell you, Shane Gillis is currently doing a lot of material on George Washington.
fun. Really? Is it amazing?
It is so fucking funny, dude. It is incredible.
I've heard his new hours very, very good.
Yeah, I think that'll be in a special that we can all watch at some
Fuck
point
yeah.
soon. So
Cool. Awesome, dude. Oh, last thing. I went to the site of the Johnstown flood, dude. Have you ever heard of this? It's sort of like an overlooked historical fact. So there's this dam like near Johnstown, Pennsylvania, which is sort of an odd town, by the way, sort of like post-industrial situation. It was owned by the city or whatever, and then this private club bought the lake, which then meant that they owned the dam. So they started changing things. So like Andrew Carnegie belonged to it, like a bunch of these big tycoons of the time, and they basically like neglected the dam to a degree until it was too late. The dam ends up collapsing, and it's like one of the biggest disasters in the history of America.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like really brutal, crazy. Did an absurd amount of damage.
Wow.
It was pretty cool.
Dude, do you know?
I never heard of that.
There's something. I hate to say this, but when you learn about a historical disaster that you'd never heard of, I want to say that I enjoy learning about those.
Same.
Yeah.
Not out of some weird like fetish or
No,
something.
I'm not happy that the people died. I mean, these are events
Just
that happened
fascinating.
hundreds of years ago. But it's like, oh, I've never even heard of that. Watching The Crown, you ever heard of Aberfan?
No.
Dude, this town in Wales. It was a coal mining town, and they were digging deep, and they were creating this big mountain of disposed ore, or like coal ore or dust or something like that. And it built up and it built up and it built up, and it was just basically a big mountain that they built that stood over the town. And one day, the cone of the mountain collapsed, and it caused a gigantic landslide that barreled down the hill and killed hundreds of people.
Oh my god.
And
when was this?
barreled right through, it must have been the 1950s.
Oh my god.
And it barreled right through, it was like 141 kids were killed. Because it went right through a school. They were all just buried.
Jesus.
And
1966.
I think it's the best episode of The Crown that I've seen so far, this one. But I'd never even heard of it.
Never heard of it. I think it is extremely important to remember things like this.
Yeah.
Because it's usually like gross negligence.
Yeah. There was a last thing. We went up to Nova Scotia, my friends and I, to go play golf at Cabot Cliffs, Cabot Links,
Sick.
in way out on the peninsula. And you fly into Halifax, and somehow I don't even know what it was. there was a ship that was coming into port in Halifax a long time ago, maybe 1800s, 1900s. And it was laden with explosives or fireworks or something. And it exploded and burned the entire city to the ground.
Jesus
Oh my
Christ.
God.
It was the worst disaster in Nova Scotia's
Oh my
history.
God, dude.
A ton of people died.
Brutal.
Ryan, any facts on that? How many people died on that one?
1782.
Happened in 1782.
No, 1,782.
1,782 people died, dude.
Jesus.
And 1,600 of them died immediately.
Oh my
It was a
God.
gigantic
Most of them
explosion.
died immediately.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That is crazy.
Yeah. So anyway, what's that one called? Do you know what the name of that disaster was?
The Halifax explosion.
The
Fair enough.
Halifax explosion.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hate to say it.
All right. Well, if you got any disasters that you know of that we would have an interesting time reading about, we'd love to hear about them.
Absolutely.
Can we learn some more facts from Ryan? Facts with Ryan. Are they lying facts with
We
Ryan?
did most of them in real time today. So
Can we learn some more facts with Ryan? Facts from Ryan.
thank you. We did most of them in real time. So True Detective, that long shot was in season 1, episode 2. It's 6 minutes long, the Compton one. And then Kings County is New York State's 4th smallest county by square mileage.
I have
Cool.
an additional
Is that
fact for
Brooklyn?
you.
Oh, yeah.
The Johnstown flood in property damage cost $17 million, but that was in 1889.
Ooh.
So that is equivalent to $500 billion now.
Billion?
No, million.
Million. $500 million now.
Yeah, sorry,
Yeah.
my fault.
Got it.
Yeah.
Gee, comedy. Where can they find you?
Comedy. Oh yeah, hell yeah. Thank you guys, everybody who came out to Connecticut and DC. First of all, fucking had a great time. This month I'm in Providence at the Comedy Connection, 14th and 15th of April. I'm at Helium in Pennsylvania on the 18th, and I am at Yonkers Comedy Club the 27th to the 29th of April. Come get tickets to all those. I'd love to see you. Francis, what about you?
Hell yeah. Guys, I'm the Hero We Need tour rolls on this weekend. We are in Minneapolis at the House of Comedy. I can't wait for that. 4 shows. Hopefully come out to see us there. And then we're on to Chicago at Zany's, Rosemont at the end of March 24th and 25th. Then Austin the next weekend, Vulcan Gas Company. Then on to Dallas and Buffalo in early May. I'm in Charlestown, West Virginia with Little Sasquatch May 12th. And I'm in San Francisco with Little Sasquatch again at the end of April at Cobb's. All tickets at francisellis.com. Thank you guys so much. That's Oops the Podcast, everybody. We'll see you soon.